So coming from Maya into Blender, one thing that I found was pretty different was the way that Blender approaches rigging. And I've got a rigged character here. And the first thing is that in Blender, you can't just create joints sort of freely. Joints have to live inside this armature object. So that's what this is up here. And this is the armature. So I guess an armature is kind of like this term that was borrowed from stop motion animation, stuff like that, right? And you'll notice I sort of select the armature here, but I can't start moving the controls around. That's because there's three modes to an armature. There's the edit mode and the pose mode and the object mode. Currently I'm in object mode. So that's kind of the entirety of the of this rig. And if I go into edit mode, this is where I can move around and create new joints, position them and stuff like that. But I can't animate anything in here. That's what the pose mode is for. So this is kind of where the actual animation would take place. And I think let's maybe just get a clean scene and set up a couple of joints. So in order to create joints, first you have to create an armature, and I'll just add a single bone. So now I have a single bone. I'll go into edit mode, and now I can start to do stuff. So I can move this around, and if I was setting up like a leg, I could do something like this. So now here's my leg, and if I go into pose mode, which I can do with just Control Tab, so tab to edit, Control Tab to pose. Actually, let me just enable this stuff so the key presses are displayed. But if I go into pose mode, then I can animate stuff now. But that's not what I want, right? I want to set up some controls, and for example, if this were an IK leg, I would want to attach controls to the bones. And in Maya, you would be creating, for example, you'd be creating a curved circle, for example, and then you would be attaching stuff or bones. You'd be attaching that to the circle using constraints or using parenting. And that works a bit differently here. So let me just, I'll just go into edit mode, and I'll grab these, and I'll just copy these, move those over a bit. So now I have 3 chains. And say I wanted to set up an IKFK control or an IKFK sort of a leg. Then let's say we have these 3. That's kind of my deformation. That's my export skeleton. So I'll rename these deformation thigh, deformation shin, maybe deformation ankle. This is like a very simple foot, right? Actually, let me just delete these, and I'll just copy them again, because then they have the naming. So Control F2, then I can rename, find def, and replace with IK. So this should now be FK thigh, FK shin, FK ankle. The same over here, and that'll be IK. And they're named .001 because that's what Blender does whenever you copy something. If I take this and make a duplicate, Shift D, then this is going to be FK thigh .002, 003, and so on. Okay, so for the FK thigh, actually we could start just kind of adding controls to those right away, because those are going to be controls. Those are going to be controlled just like directly on the bones, right? And let me just actually go into the Armature data properties here. On the viewport display, you can check a few things, like you can check the axes, for example. And actually, one thing is that I think I would actually like to rotate the, I think I'd like the axes to be different. So in edit mode, let's just expand this little end panel over here. There's this roll here, which you can change. And I can then, if I set up this one bone like to be the way that I want it, then I can align all the other bones to this one. I can also like hit Shift N, and then I can align this active bone. I can recalculate the roll to some axes. So let's see, what would this be? So there's the Y. Let's see, I guess it should be like this. So global minus C. Okay, so grab all the other bones, make this one the active one, and then Shift N, recalculate from active bone. Then all the other ones should be, they should have their axis recalculated to match this one. So now I should be able to, oh, and actually they have this, I don't even remember what it's called, Quaternion. Yeah, I have this Quaternion rotation set up. I don't like that. I want it to be Euler instead. So you can select all the bones and hit Control R and set rotation mode for all the bones. And I like just using it like this. So now the x-axis is kind of the primary rotation axis for this joint, which is how I like it. Anyway, okay. So this video is kind of unscripted. I don't know if you can tell that, but I hope it's still useful. Okay, getting back to the FK legs over here. So I want to add some, I want to add controls to these. And like I mentioned earlier, in Maya, maybe you would go in and add like a circle, and then you would try and do some stuff with that. But that's not how it works in Blender. In Blender, the controls are actually sitting directly on the bones. So what you would do is you would go in here in pose mode, go on the bone properties here, properties, and then there's like a viewport display. You can set custom object, and then you can pick something. But at the moment, there's nothing in here in the scene. So you need to add a polygon object. And I'll just add like a circle here. This is not a CV curve or NURBS or anything like that. This is just polygons. And that's kind of the primary way of adding controls. So if I go in here, and I'll just add this, hold down Alt and click circle. And though those are rotated the wrong way, obviously, but I'll just go in here, grab my little circle here and rotate this. Okay, wrong way, I guess. Okay, let me just do that again. Okay, so now it fits, and I can scale it down as well. It's also a possibility to, in here, so these are still the bones, actually. They just have this, this custom object applied, right? It's also a possibility for me in here in the custom shape part of the bone properties to rotate stuff here, so I can change my control here. But I like to just kind of make sure that the object itself that's being used as a control is oriented, you know, in a way that makes sense, because then whenever if I wanted to go over here, for example, and set this to circle, then that also is just kind of facing the right direction. Okay, so now I have like a basic sort of FK control set up here. And if I go into edit mode again, then I can move these back to where they came from. I'm just hitting Control to snap. So now they're sitting directly on top of my deform bones. And in order to make it easier to kind of get hold of the bones that I want, Blender has this system of bone collections. So right now there's just one called bones. And if I press plus, I can add a new collection. I can also just hit M, and that'll, allow me to move to collection, to the bones collection that's over here, or to a new bone collection. So I'll make a new one and just call that FK for now. And now I can choose to only see the FK bones, or to see the ones that are in the bones collection. And I'll do the same here, actually, just move these to a collection called IK for now. This is going to change later, but yeah. Okay. And finally, just to keep things clean, down here is my control. So I'm going to hit M as well and move that to a new collection. Just call it control shapes. And I'm going to disable that, so I don't want that in the scene. And now what I can do is, let me just go into the armature again, go into pose mode. Now I can grab my FK control and shift click my my deform bone, hit Control Shift C, copy rotation, Control Shift C, copy rotation, Control Shift C, copy rotation, and now the FK controllers are able to control the deformed joints. Cool. Okay. So now I want to set up this IK leg over here, and the IK works a little bit differently from what it does in Maya. Again, that's kind of the reason that I'm recording this. I just want to highlight the differences in how stuff works relative to Maya. So first off, you need to, I want to make this into a leg, and first off, you need to unparent this actually. So just hit Alt-P and clear parent. So now this is not connected anymore. Then I'm gonna use this. This is gonna be my controller. Shift click this and Control Shift C. Add constraints. And let's see. I wonder where those actually sit if you wanted to go through them in the. Okay, so it's here. Pose, constraints, add with targets. Okay. So, but I usually just use the shortcut. And inverse kinematics. And so right now this is actually working now. But a thing to note maybe is that if you go under the bone constraints here, see that the chain length is set to 0, so that's infinite. So if this was a part of a larger bone setup, this would mess up. So you just need to go in here and just set the correct length. So this is 2 bones in this case. Okay. So okay, so great. So what now? How do I if I wanted to make this a part of this, or make this able to also control this deform chain over here? How would I do that? Well, let's I'll just disable the FK and go into edit mode. I'll select these bones again and just hold down Control and snap them back into place. Go back into pose mode. So now they're overlaid. Great. So so basically what you would need to do is just kind of repeat the process. So IK thigh.002, shift click to get the deformed thigh, Control Shift C, copy rotation, and now the deformed bone is being controlled by the IK. Okay, but hang on. So how does that work? So it's being controlled both by the FK and the IK, and yeah, that's right. Here are the deformed bones, and on the bone constraints over here, you can see that there's 2 constraints applied really. There's the FK and there's the IK. And maybe I'll swap these around actually, so that the IK is the first, or is the primary one, and the FK is the secondary one. So if I turn on the IK again now, then nothing's going to happen, because I just kind of dialed down the influence on how the constraints are being applied. But I can just grab these, set the influence to 0, and then the IK control is going to move the deformed bone again. So basically, in order to change between IK and FK, you just need like a custom property to to be able to slide between them. And that's kind of like in Maya, right? You have custom attributes. And I'm thinking, where should we put this? Maybe we should have like actually another bone. Let me just add another bone. So I'll go into object or into edit mode, hit Shift A. So here's our bone. Let's just call this root. Then go into pose mode, and under the bone properties down at the bottom here, there's custom properties. So I'll create a new one, or 2 new ones actually. No, not 2 new ones. We only have 1 leg. So let's call this FK switch. Default value is 0. Great. And it's also available through this menu here. Okay, so what you can then do is just kind of, I'll set this to 0. Right click this, copy as new driver. Then I'm gonna go into the deform bones, bone constraints, right click here, paste driver. Same on the other bones, paste driver, and so now the okay, let's see. I'll just move this to the bones collection. Okay, so now it's going to be visible. But now if I or actually I forget, what did I actually set it to? So yes, so right now it's in IK mode, and if I switch here, FK switch, it's going to be in FK mode. So let's just test that. Yeah, just had to enable the displaying the deform bones as well. So that's working. And if I move this back, then FK controls aren't going to be working. Cool. So that's yeah, that's basically like the basics of how you you set up an IK/FK leg, and a couple of the basics of how rigging in Blender is different from rigging in Maya. But let's maybe do a couple more things. So here we have the IK leg, and let's just add a pole vector on this. So I'm going to grab this joint here and extrude out in X, Alt P to disconnect this and move this out here. So this is going to be my pole vector. Go into deform, go into pose mode, click this bone that has the IK constraint. Then here's the pole target. You just need to first set up what's the armature, and then here just enter PV. It's going to be rotated strangely. Just change that to -90 in this case, and now the pole vector should be working. And if I move my IK leg around, I can control the angle of the leg. And to zero all this stuff out is pretty useful in Maya. You just hold down Alt R, Alt G. So that's the way to quickly zero out stuff. Okay, so let's make let's just exit the armature and just make a couple of controls. So let's make a foot control. So I'll delete only faces on this guy. Now we have a square. And I'll jump into deform, or into pose mode. I don't know why I keep calling it deform, but into pose mode, select the custom object. That's the plane. Yeah, okay. I guess I'm seeing the I'm seeing like the penalty for how badly I set up this leg, because obviously the leg doesn't just end with this. There should be an actual there should be an actual foot bone down here. But anyway, so now this is my IK leg control, and let me just exit this. I can also add an empty actually, which corresponds to a locator in Maya. So an empty, and I'll go into deform mode, into pose mode. God damn it! Set this to the empty. So now this is going to be my pole vector control. And if I go back into object mode on the locator empty here, I can change the scale of that. And now I have like a couple of controls here. So what I would do, I guess, normally would be to have a group called controls. And let me just move these to control shapes collection. But I would have a group called controls, and I would just move these to the control group. And if I enable the FK, I'd grab these, move those also to the control group. And then I can disable all the other stuff, and now I just have the controls. But in this case, there isn't any geometry, so let's just show the deform bones as well. So now I have a little rig set up here. I can change between IK and FK using this. Yeah, and if I need to reset, I just hit Alt-R, Alt-G, Alt-S to zero out location, rotation, and scaling. And yeah, that's kind of all I want to go through in this short video. But I hope this has given you a couple of sort of or a better understanding, basically, of how rigging in Blender works differently to rigging in Maya. If there's any interest in going through some more advanced stuff or a more complete rigging tutorial, then I very much doubt that, because I think this video is going to be seen by like 2 people in the world. But leave a comment if you do want to see something like that. Thank you.